holiday episode today. We are going to be talking to someone I have known a very long time, my entire life, actually. They are one of the most important people in the world to me, and I can't wait to start the conversation. But first off, let's look at our sponsors. We have Brewed Coffee down in Kentucky. I am just about to get their Kentucky bourbon brew. I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to give it a try and give you guys a heads up on how it is. But yeah, take a look in the comments. My affiliate link is in there for you to go on, take a look, buy some coffee, buy some merchandise, support some local business. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, like I said, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a review, hopefully next episode. Also, obviously, we are brought to you by the Vermin Supreme Institute. There is a lot of new happenings, I guess, in the next year for the Vermin Supreme Institute. We are doing a lot of mutual aid pieces, a lot of education pieces, and then we're going to jump back into the political realm and help some third parties out. Help crash the duopoly and do some good in the world. So I'm really looking forward to next year with the Vermin Supreme Institute, and I can't wait to see what we're going to be doing. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So, all right, I'm going to bring in, like I said, someone very near and dear to my heart, my sibling, Dakota.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
It's been a crazy year. We haven't seen each other as much as I'd like. Obviously, with COVID, it's been tough. I know, especially with you two, you and your wife, Danielle, are in a special situation because Danielle is a nurse and kind of seeing a ton of people all the time. And yeah, it just must be a little bit kind of nerve wracking. And, obviously we've been pregnant and now we have Kennedy here. So we've been very, very cautious, and it's been sad that I haven't been able to see you as much as we typically do.
Yeah, definitely. I know. I think I've seen you maybe twice this year, which is definitely low on the list. I think I saw you more when I lived in Oregon, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough. I know it's taken a hit on my mental welfare and mental. I miss you and obviously the family, the rest of the family up in Maine and everything. Just hopefully once things get a little bit more back to normal, we can see each other a little bit more, and when it gets warmer out, we can do some outdoor stuff. I think it'll be a lot better in the spring. At least I'm hoping for that. I need that.
Yeah. Same.
So I brought you on. I wanted to talk a couple of things. I feel like the holidays are kind of a tenuous spot for a lot of folks. When they do get together and talk about politics, it can be a little hairy. So I know you and I, we agree on a lot of different things, but we don't see eye to eye on everything. There's a good chunk of our political beliefs that just really don't align.
Yeah.
And I thought we do a pretty decent job, bridging that gap and being able to talk to each other about politics still. And I wanted to help our listeners a little bit, get to that point with maybe their family, or avoid, some conversation, but don't avoid others. I think there's some important stuff to talk about, and it's good to have some difficult conversations, but being respectful. And I wanted to get your take on kind of how we've gotten there and what, what have you seen, I guess, in the past, couple of years as our political beliefs, I guess, diverge a little bit more here and there.
So I think, it's hard when I feel like in the last few years, politics have really taken a front running in a lot of conversations. Whereas, there's this cliche, we grew up, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics,
right.
And now all we do is talk about politics. And I feel like a lot of people don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And especially if their family is the opposite of what they believe in, they're just okay, but how can I trust you in my life anymore? Right. Sometimes. So, and I thought about this as you asked me to come on the show and stuff. And it's going to sound so crazy, but the best example that I can come up with is there was this one time. So I went to school on Long Island, right outside New York City. And there was this one time me and my friends were in the city and we were at this bar, and it was, I want to say it was like Fleet Week even. And, you know, just like city was crazy.
Yep.
And I was at this bar and me and my friends were dancing. And this guy came up and like danced with me, which is like, whatever. I was like, I'm dancing anyway. Here we are.
Yep.
And he like wanted to kiss me. And I was like, oh no, like, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm gay and I'm into women. And he got like so angry at me. And I was like, I don't understand why you're angry right now. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, I need to de-escalate this situation like immediately. And so I was like, okay, well, you like women too, right? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, well, tell me what you like about women. And he was just like, their smile, like blah, 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 going on and on and on. And I was like, okay, well, like me too.
Right.
And he was like, oh, I kind of got it. And I was like, okay, thank God, because who knows where the situation could have gone.
Right.
And I kind of think like in that situation, it's kind of like politics now. It's like, okay, I absolutely do not believe in the same things that you believe in, but like, tell me why you like what you like. Like, don't come at me like telling me why you don't like what I believe in. Like, tell me why you like what you like.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people can find common ground that way.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there's a lot of folks have very similar needs and wants, I guess, out of the political realm. Most folks really just, they want to make sure their family is safe and they're safe and they have access to things that they need access to. And that's the basic bare necessity for most folks. And you can, I mean, I think the best way that I try and bridge some of those gaps as well is, you know, there's a very common enemy in millionaire politics. Unless you're talking to another millionaire politicians and you, no matter what your political ideology, will never have the same life.
Yeah.
You are much more likely to have the same life as the person standing beside you talking about politics that you don't believe in than you ever will have with Nancy Pelosi. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a common ground that people have just forgotten about. That's the daily struggle of life. Like, everyone, unless you are just uber well off and don't have a care in the world about money, you still deal. I mean, even those folks still deal with some struggles in life that everyone deals with. And you can talk about that common ground even within politics. You know, I think everyone right now is very pissed off at the stimulus bill.
Yeah.
There is very little money going to the individual. I've shared statuses and had Republicans, Democrats, anarchists, libertarians, Green Party folks, everyone liked the same exact status because people are pissed.
Yeah.
And I feel like
$600 if you look at the average like rent in the country, it is nowhere even near that. Like, that's not even going to pay for your rent. That's barely going to pay for food for a month. Like, depending on your family, it might not even pay for like 2 or 3 weeks, you know? And we've been waiting for this since, I don't even remember the first time it went out, like April, I want to say, May. We've been waiting for this for so many months. And like, that's what you came up with? Like, that was that was what you waited this entire time to let us know you were going to give us.
Right.
And I mean, I work in the service industry and it's a struggle. Like, it's a struggle. It's a struggle to have people in there dining. It's a struggle to stay safe at all costs. It's a struggle to have people cooperate like with the state regulations. And I mean, they're not getting in as much money as they used to. And, you know, like at the beginning, I feel like everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is a pandemic. Like, this is unprecedented.
Right.
Like, we're going to send all the help. And now it's just like, okay, this has been going on for a while. Like, you're fine. Right. And it's.
In reality, more people have lost their jobs. More people are having a hard time. Like, at least one, most of the folks that I know, at least one of the two partners, if they're in a relationship and have a 2-income family, have lost their jobs. I mean, it has gotten worse since that point. And it's funny because obviously there's a big feeling in the libertarian world that they don't like seeing the government take our taxes and redistribute our taxes and stuff. But this is our money. This is every single taxpayer's money, and we're not getting even a little bit of it. I mean, the percentage that we're actually getting back for what we paid in for the year is minuscule.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to see the mismanagement of that and for everyone. And I feel like that's if I was going to a big family gathering this year with a ton of people who I didn't agree with, I would talk about that because I feel like every single person would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was thinking about that too. And it's just like, okay, like of all the millions of people that pay taxes, like I'm sure if you ask them, like 1, 2, or 3, like who take priority, like who do you want your tax money to go to? They're never going to be like, oh yes, the Pentagon, or oh yes, the church. Like
right. Yeah, I mean, you don't see people that are actively saying. I mean, you see a lot of support, obviously, for the people serving in the military because they are sacrificing what they are. But you don't see people wanting to spend more money on bombs to hurt people who, especially if you look at the civilian count that is being impacted and being killed by the imperialism of the United States. People are not going to vote for that as their first. I always thought if you could democratize, this was early on before my completely anti-government kind of days, but if you could democratize the tax system a little bit more and give people some input on where their money actually goes to, you'd see more beneficial programs for individuals instead of spending $65 $600 on a screw on a boat that because military contracts are so inflated. So I think there's a good point there, like you said, just finding those common ground points of most people are not going to feel this way. It's very easy. I mean, it's very easy to get in the weeds and get into these specific issues that people feel very strongly about, and people are going to have these really big opposing views and not move an inch on their stance or whatever. And I think just coming at it as a trying to find that common ground first, kind of meet them where they're at, and then give them a solution that might be from your camp of your political policies that you back or whatever, but do it in a way that's not attacking their beliefs. You're just saying, this is one thing that I've heard of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you have to go unless someone comes out like blatant and be like, well, I'm racist and like, white power, then okay, I don't know if we can find common ground on that one. But other than that, like, it's like, what do you want? Like, what is your ideal scenario? And what is important to you? Because everybody has something that's important to them. May it be like situations they've been in, like experiences they've had, like, oh, I want to do better for like homeless veterans, which I 110% agree on. And like I feel like that is an issue of like both parties, all parties, and like that we can get behind, that we have in common. I just feel like that common ground is something that if you are working on a relationship with someone, whether it be a family member, friend, partner even, you have to find that common ground, and you have to find something that you're both passionate about that is going in the same direction. And without that, you're never, it's like two trains. Like if you're going like this, you're never gonna meet. So I think it's important to be like, okay, what are your beliefs? What are your values? Don't talk to me about parties. Like, talk to me about who you are and what you believe in. And I think that's important.
No, I think that's great. I think we kind of hit the nail on the head there, and I think you summed it up pretty nicely at that point. So that kind of takes, I mean, I know it's kind of an abrupt transition, but I do want to make sure we have some time. We're at the halfway kind of timeline or whatever. I do want to make sure we have some time to talk about the second topic that we discussed, I guess, early on, and talk about basically how best can some people build a support system, be there for friends, family, or someone that they know that is going through their coming out process or transitioning or part they're becoming part of the GSM LGBTQ plus community, and how best can I guess allies or friends and family I guess come and support those folks.
So I would say it's such a broad topic. There's a lot to cover there, but if you are, questioning, you're trying to figure out who you are, you don't know yet, but you've always like felt like an outcast or felt different, like you're definitely not alone. If you, believe that you are queer or any other definition that you want for yourself,
Right.
I just really want to like drive home, like there will always be people there for you. A big thing in the LGBTQ plus community is chosen family.
Yep.
And a lot of people are not accepted by their families. They're not accepted even by their friends sometimes. And chosen family is like a huge thing in the community. And I think it's a great thing. Because those people are going to know what you're going through. Those people are going to have a lot more experience and advice and guidance for you. And not only that, like, even if these people are going through the same things as you, like, you can lean on each other and they can be there for you and you can be there for them, So I think that's an important thing, that you're not alone. I don't want to be cliche as in to say like it does get better, but for younger folks, like it does. Maybe you can't imagine your life where you're completely out to your friends and family, and it's okay, but the one day it will be. And the environment right now is changing, folks are really getting behind trans people. There's more representation in like mainstream media and television. Elliot Page,
Yeah,
just came
absolutely.
out. And the support that he got was phenomenal, it I mean, obviously there's gonna be people who wanna bring you down, who wanna
Yep.
say awful things, who aren't quite caught up with accepting, folks in the LGBTQ plus community. Um, but there are gonna be people in your life and people that you haven't met yet that are gonna accept you exactly who you are. And for family who, someone does come out to them, they're like, "Hey, I'm queer, or I'm bi, or I'm gay, or I'm a lesbian, or I'm trans,"
Yep.
Um, if you're that person that they come out to, the number one thing that you need to remember is they felt safe telling you, and you can't take that for granted, and you can't essentially mess that up,
Right.
by having a negative reaction. Like, if you need time to, like, digest it, like, okay, but you need to tell this person, like, "Hey, I'm still gonna love you. I'm
Right.
still gonna support you, like, no matter who you are, like, I love you, and, like, you're you're a beautiful person," because
Right.
they are people, and you need to treat them as such, and they're not less than just
Right.
because they're different. Um
And one of the things too that I seem to have a misconception, I guess, when you came out to me, and one of my good friends I grew up with came out to me right around the same time, and I had this misconception that you would be different somehow, like that you would be this huge different person all of a sudden now that you're out. And maybe the only piece of that it possibly is you were able to become more of your true self, and you were able to like kind of just let yourself be, which was pretty wonderful to see honestly, with you, we've been to gay bars and had a blast and done, and I do get to see your true self in those environments, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my first, I guess, fear or misconception, I guess, that I had, is I really thought you were a different sibling, all of a sudden, and you weren't. I mean, you were the same person I grew up with, the same person I had all these experiences with, and you just happen to like a different sex or gender. You know what I mean? Like I think it's something that people need to get over and realize that it's not. You haven't lost the person you've known all that time. You're actually gaining more of an insight into their lives, and they've let you there.
I think, and I struggle with this a lot too, just in general. And I even looked at like my, I don't know what it is, like birth chart or whatever for like horoscope today. And like, I'm a Leo and through, like my sun, my moon, whatever. But I think people have to disconnect themselves from thinking, okay, how does this affect me? Or what does this have to do with me? Like, and especially parents, like, of people who come out as queer or trans or, non-binary. Like, I feel like a lot of parents and a lot of parents have like come to me to be like, okay, my child is this or that. Like, what do I do? Or what did I do did I do this? Like, and I think it comes from a place of compassion. Like, they don't want their child's life to be harder, which I completely understand. Like, I get it. But I think they have to remove themselves from this and be like, okay, my child is like becoming who they.
Ooh, I think we just lost you for a second, Dakota. You froze up on us. So, yeah, I think you're coming back.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I just saw it flash back on. So we heard a lot of what you said up until, talking about what a parent is trying to be compassionate and trying to make sure their life is not hard, their child's life is not harder. And then you cut off kind of right there.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so they have to like separate themselves and be like, my child is who they are, and all your child wants to hear is that you still love them. Honestly, that you love them, that you accept them, that you're still gonna go to bat for them no matter what kind of trouble or what kind of whatever they get into, and you're gonna be there to celebrate their successes. And they just want to make you proud in a way. We grow up wanting to make our parents proud of us.
Yep.
Because they're our parents, and they spend so much time raising us. And so yeah, that's my advice to parents: is your child just wants to know that you still love them. And I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but I can't imagine in a situation where your parents just stop loving you, even if they're not, accepting
Yep.
of you. I don't know how they could stop loving you at that moment, but that is a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is like my number one thing that I tell parents, is that your kids just want to know you love them. And I am incredibly lucky that you and our parents were so accepting of me. And that really changed like how I lived my life, honestly, and how I came out and how I became more of myself. And I didn't do it with the fear that I wasn't going to lose my whole family.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people have that fear, and it comes true for a lot of people that they do lose their family. And that's what I was saying earlier about like chosen family.
Yep.
And you'll find your people, whether they're blood related or they're your best friends, like they become your family because they accept you and love you, and that you can be your true self around them. So if your family member does come out to you and you want them to still consider you family, then you have to accept them and love them and try. Even if it's hard for you, try. Like
Right.
I go by they, them, and my family has definitely tried to honor me in that way and use those pronouns with me. And even if you have to practice, even if you get it wrong sometimes, like you just be like, okay, I'm sorry, and move on. Like, don't make a big deal about it. If you're just like, oh, she, they, like say they, move on.
Right.
You don't even have to apologize, you know?
Yeah, so this brings me into the next kind of thing that we were
Yeah.
wanted to talk about for sure, and I'll give really quick my personal experience with it and difficulty, so with gender neutral pronouns were new to me, very new to me. I didn't have gender neutral friends at the time, so I was really learning using them, they. And then the shift to Dakota as well. I accidentally definitely dead named you a couple of times and felt absolutely awful about it. And I think one of the hard parts was like the recovery. Like I felt like I punched you in the face whenever I mean, the pronouns I know were difficult, and I stumbled a few times, but I always try to do what you said and really just correct myself and kind of move on. But I feel like with the name, I felt awful. Like that was a much bigger deal. And I guess I wanted to know from you kind of is it the same kind of recovery? Just fix yourself and move on, or is there an apology? I know it's different for everyone. It's different for each situation, but I feel like that's the worry with people, and that's what people get nervous about with folks in the trans community. And I want people to feel more comfortable and have those same conversations with those friends, because they still need you. They still want you in their lives if they've come to you and talk to you. And feeling awkward and having those awkward moments are going to make that person come around less. So I don't want people to lose those wonderful connections they still have. So how do we make that easier, I guess?
So there's a few things. I mean, and I just want to like preface all of this by like I'm one trans person. I'm not all trans people.
Yep.
People have different preferences, and talk to them about it. Like if somebody comes out to you and is like, "Hey, I go by they them pronouns," be like, "Okay," and like ask. I am more willing to teach people than like some other trans people, I live in like rural New Hampshire and there's not a lot of trans people. So it's like I do have to educate people sometimes, which I'm okay with, but like not every trans person, not every gay person is going to be that okay with it. So you're definitely going to have to do some research on your own.
Yes.
Be comfortable with that. If you are, love this person, be comfortable with researching on your own. Our father researched on his own what genderqueer meant and came to Pride in Western Mass with his own airbrushed genderqueer shirt on to support me, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And he did that on his own. And my father is dyslexic. Like you have no excuse.
Right, exactly.
So, and also if you mess up, I work in a restaurant and I literally sent out a message because I felt safe enough to do so because I am friendly with my coworkers and they know me and I know them. And people were misgendering me a lot because there were newer people in the restaurant. And I sent out a message to like company wide and I was like, hey, like some people don't know, but I go by they, them pronouns. Just if you mess up, it's okay.
Yep.
If you call me she, it's okay. If you stutter and don't know what to call me, just call me sir. Like I will not be mad,
Right.
Like this is my preference. Please address me as such. And 99% of people have, and they've responded well to that. And some of them mess up and they fix it real quick. Be like, oh, they will help you down there.
Yep.
As good as that, And some people, do other things and not more profound, but like where they can't correct themselves in the moment. You know what I mean? And will say, I'm sorry later,
Yep.
which is fine. But I feel like some people don't want you to apologize because then it's their responsibility to say it's okay.
Right.
So don't expect, and it's okay.
Right.
I guess. Just be like,
Okay.
I'm sorry, they, or your name instead of your dead name,
Yep.
So yeah, it's all about learning. As long as you're trying, like I can still, every day when someone says they instead of she, like first off, I feel so good. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, yes. Like they get it. They get me. I am seen, so really practice. Like if I'm not around and you're talking about me, like definitely use the right pronouns. Definitely practice using the right pronouns. If you mess up and I'm not there, that's okay because you can still correct yourself or somebody else is going to correct you depending on what the situation is. So yeah, practice, research on your own. If you happen to dead name someone, I would apologize, honestly. Just be like, I'm sorry. And then reinstate like what their name is. And just erase their dead name from your vocabulary forever, honestly. But yeah.
And that honestly took some time. Like I did out. I mean, I knew you 20 something years before that, and I was using that name for 20 something years. And I definitely had a hard time, and I kept trying to correct myself when I wasn't with you as well, and really trying to hone in the use of the name that you preferred. And I think it was okay. I think I did okay, but I definitely had that fear. And I think that conversations with you helped so much that alleviated a lot of that fear of, if I mess up, you're not going to disown me and never want to talk to me again. You just want me to acknowledge it and move on, kind of thing. But acknowledge it. I think that's something that people, especially if it's happening, more consistently, acknowledge that you make the mistake. I think is something that you've told me in the past as well. And then, kind of like you said, move on.
Move on quickly. Don't like wait for me to be like, oh, it's okay. Just be like, oh, I'm sorry. And then like Dakota,
Yep. No, and I think that's helpful. I think it's good for people to know, so, and like you said, this is you, this is your preferences personally. This is not every single person.
I'm not speaking for the entire community whatsoever. I have a very different experience from everybody in the community has a different experience from everybody else, but we all learn, and we're not gonna cross you. You're not gonna be on the blacklist, that you messed up our pronouns one time and like you're dead to us forever, like as long as you're committed to learning, to trying, to respecting us or me in general, then you're fine, and
I think I think that's helpful for folks too. I think that that puts folks at ease. I think to know that the person that's in their life that means so much to them, as long as they're really trying hard to do the right thing, is the most important thing by far for them to do. And the disclaimer that you had put out that I had said as well. You're not speaking for everyone. And I even hesitated asking you to come on and do this kind of conversation because I do know that it's difficult for people to be asked the same questions over and over. It's for the people to in the community, GSM and LGBTQ plus communities to have to answer these questions over and over again. And I try, as best I can. If I have a friend that is not part of the community, that does have a family member that's just come out to them or whatever, I try and give them as much information as I can that I've learned either from my own research, talking to you, talking to my friends in the community as well. just to try and help, I guess, remove that burden so that you don't have to get asked all these questions or whatever. But I do, I really appreciate you talking about it. I mean, it's not easy conversation to talk about. I can imagine. I'm on kind of the easy side of this. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm me. I'm super proud of you. I'm super happy that you were able to come on and talk with me on this. And
yeah.
I
think the biggest thing to take away is everybody's different. I am accustomed to helping people understand, how I identify, what that means, some people, I'm the only trans person they know, so they ask me questions, which I am okay with. But like everybody's different, and you have to establish that boundary with the people in your life that do identify, in the community, what their boundaries are, like what you can ask them, what is inappropriate to ask them, what is disrespectful to ask them, and what is okay to ask them. And they will tell you, what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with. And we all just have to be respectful of that. If you want to know more, there is the internet, and there is so much on the internet. There's stuff that I don't even know about the community that's on the internet, it's hard to find a community up here in New Hampshire. I mean, it's growing, but I'm not like every night going out with like LGBTQ plus people, so there's a lot of stuff I don't even know. And I'm constantly learning about, and these new terms that, younger folks are coming up with, which I think is great to, like, if they want to identify themselves as, which is amazing, they have these terms that even when I was younger, we didn't have, so I think it's great. And I think everybody is in the learning process. Like even people in the community are still in the learning process. So don't be afraid to make a mistake so much that you avoid the situation altogether.
Right.
Just learn and ask questions when it's, right to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think fighting for the culture shift, like you said, I think there's a big piece of the culture that is moving in the right direction. There's definitely a large piece of the population that's not, on board with that. But I think the more that it becomes commonplace to even for, I know a lot of friends of mine who are cisgender still put their pronouns in their profile just to make it more commonplace. And I think that's something that, if folks want to do that to help with that culture shift, I think that really does. It's a positive thing. I can't see it. I know there are, edgelords that like to troll people on the internet and say, oh, this is stupid. Why are you doing this? You're a cisgender person. Like, you're just trying to make the world feel like a safer and more welcoming place to others. And I don't understand why that's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form kind of thing. But,
I mean, I have been trying to get in the habit when I introduce myself to new people, be like, hi, I'm Dakota. I go by they, them, just to like get it out of the way. And that way they know. So yeah, I think it's great that people like are starting to put that in their profiles, like cisgender people, because it opens up the conversation to be like, and some people would be like, okay, but like, what else would you be? Like those closed-minded people. And it's just like, there are other genders out there. And it's not up to you to decide what gender somebody else is, that's for them to decide and to tell you, and for you to respect that when they do tell you.
I couldn't agree more. And I think this is super helpful. Like, so we're hitting up against the time now, but I think this I learned even a little bit more here, and I feel like we have a really good open communication about talking about pronouns and just different ways to address people. And I think we talk about it pretty frequently, but I still feel like I've learned a little bit more about your personal preferences on communication and stuff. And I think it's important, like we were saying, just to talk to people and I appreciate you being so open and being willing to talk with me about this on a personal, on aside from the podcast, but also to share this with all the people that do listen to my podcast. I can't give you enough. I can't tell you through the video chat, I guess, how appreciative I am of you coming on and opening yourself up and being able to share this with folks. So I just really appreciate it. I love you so much. I'm very sad that this holiday season is going to be a little different than normal, but I know once we're able to see each other, it's going to be pretty great. So
yeah, definitely. Can't wait to meet my niece.
yes. And she can't wait to meet you. It's
nibbling.
yes. Well, I thank you. I will talk to you soon, I'm sure. Like I said, I love you and thank you so much for joining me. I think this is really helpful for a lot of folks. So
yeah, I love you too. Thanks for having me.
Have a good night.
Bye.
So that was one of my favorite interviews I think I've done here on Post-Political Podcast. I know it's early in our life here, but that was wonderful. I can't even begin to describe to you all how grateful and how much I love my sibling Dakota. They are one of the brightest spots of my life, and I thoroughly miss them through kind of this distanced piece that we're doing for COVID here. So I hope you all enjoyed that. If you have any, if folks out there who are part of the community have any helpful links or anything that they want to share in the comments, please feel free to. I go on the comments throughout the entire time before and after we post this, and we'll respond and help get answers. If I don't personally have the answers, I will reach out to friends in the community who do have the answers for you. And try to provide any bit of information that you need, especially about this topic. It's very near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of friends and family who I care about in these communities, and I really will do anything I can and go out of my way to help you understand something that you want to understand about, whether it be pronouns or a person's new name or gender neutral or anything that I can help with. Please feel free to reach out to me in the comments or send me a message, and I will do what I can to help you out. So thank you. I love you all, and hope you have a wonderful night.